Let's talk a little bit about the distinction between private revelation and public revelation in the church.
I think that's important at the outset to understand in order to understand any kind of apparition or revelation that we have, because we have the public deposit of the faith. These are all those things that have been revealed in the Old Testament and then, of course, in the Jesus Christ, all the way up until the death of the last apostle. That is the fullness of God's revelation, revealing those truths that are necessary for our salvation. So that's the public revelation, the deposit of the faith. That can never change. Anything that contradicts that, we know, would be heresy. But we also have private revelation. And so the apparitions of Jesus to St. Faustina, where we get the Divine Mercy devotion, or the Sacred Heart devotion, or Our Lady of Lourdes, right? Those were private revelations. And so private revelations are interventions from heaven at certain points in human history, never to add anything to the deposit of the faith, never to contradict it, but to point out something that might be neglected in a certain period of time in history. And so again, it never changes, it never alters, and it never contradicts the public revelation, but it can point out what's being missed or not fully lived out during a certain time. It's also interesting to note that private revelation has even made its way into the public prayer of the church. So, for instance, we celebrate the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes. We celebrate the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so even though they're private revelations, they made their way into the public prayer of the church.